You are 12 years old and you live in Derry, Maine, and there's one thing you understand before you can even explain it. Something is wrong with this town, and every adult around you has quietly decided not to notice. Because you see, the sewers aren't the actual problem. Neither are the storm drains, even though your mom recommends that you should play in them for reasons she can never actually explain. What's underneath this town is older than the town itself. Something that has been picking off children here since before your grandparents or even your great-grandparents were ever born. And once you understand what it actually is and why it wants you specifically, you're never going to want to look at a red balloon the same way again. Here's what nobody explains to you at 12 years old, mostly because the adults don't fully understand it either. Derry sits on top of something ancient, and calling it a monster undersells what it actually is. What it feeds on isn't people, it's what people feel. And fear happens to be the most nutritious thing a human being can produce. And here's the problem for you specifically. Adult fear is complicated. Mortgage payments, marriages falling apart, breakups, a vague dread about getting older. All of that is bland, and turning it into something edible takes a lot of work. However, at 12 years old, your fear doesn't come with that problem. You're old enough now to have real fears attached to real monsters, but young enough that they still come pre-packaged with the face. The dark, the thing under your bed you're almost too old to admit you still check. Freddy Krueger, the werewolf, the mummy, the thing, the drain that makes a weird sound at night, calling your name. Whatever's living under this town just has to become the thing you're already afraid of. That's the entire design. And once you're the perfect meal, it does not stop hunting you. It toys with you. It messes with you. It puts you in psychological dread until it finally decides to eat you. So it already knows what scares you before you do. Knowing your fear and actually reaching you are two different problems. And the way that it solves the second problem is exactly why adults in Derry actually encourage their children to play in the sewers. This town is designed not just brainwash you, but brainwash your parents into playing right into this thing's domain. And there's no way that you at 12 years old will actually be able to see this coming. And by the time you do see it coming, it's too late. You're clown food. A monster is the last thing it shows you. First, it's a friend, a clown, specifically because bright colors and balloons and a warm smile are the fastest way past a kid's defenses. And at 12, you still have fewer of those defenses than you think you do. It offers you a ball back. It offers you a balloon. It tells you it can bring you somewhere fun, somewhere where you'll float, somewhere better than wherever you are right now. Patience is the one thing it has that nothing else in your life offers you, and it will wear the face of a dead pet, a missing sibling, whatever gets your feet moving towards it instead of away, it will use it. Calling it a monster is generous. It's a door, and the only thing keeping you on the right side of it is whether you notice the wrongness in time, whether you notice that something is off. You, your parents, and your grandparents have all been brainwashed to believe that nothing is wrong with what you're seeing. You think if you run home, you told your parents about the clown in the sewer, somebody would actually do something about that. Someone would try to help you. You'd be wrong, and the reason why is the most quietly disturbing part of growing up in this town. You're in the bathroom. You had a long day at school. You just got done finishing your math equations. Y equals mx plus b. God, I hated y. It's time to go to sleep. You brush your teeth right before you go to bed, and then you hear something in the drain, something calling your name. And that thing calling your name, or that person that you think is calling your name, is the classmate that went missing 2 weeks ago. It says, "Hey, how are you doing?" You talk back because you have no idea what's going on. It's your missing classmate. You ask them, "Hey, where are you?" And they say they're in the sewers. And they say, "What are you doing in the sewers?" And then it says, "I'm here with the clown. We all float, and soon you will float too." And then boom, all blood comes up, or whatever comes up. You see fingers, bugs, whatever it is that will infect your mind, it comes up. You scream. Your parents storm in. They ask, "What's wrong?" There's bugs everywhere. There's living creepy bugs, blood, whatever, all over the bathroom, except they don't see it. They look at you like you're crazy, like you're having a psychological breakdown. But your parents aren't lying to you when they say there's nothing there. They genuinely don't see it. You can watch blood, bugs, whatever pour out of the bathroom sink, and the adult standing 3 feet away sees clean porcelain. Missing posters around town get put up, then quietly get papered over with new missing posters, and nobody in town seems to register exactly how strange that this pattern is. Maybe that's supernatural interference. Maybe it's 300 years of a community training itself not to ask questions. Either way, the effect on you lands the same. You're old enough now to notice the adults aren't just missing it, they're actively uncomfortable with you bringing it up. like some part of them doesn't want to know. Being hunted by something is bad enough, but being hunted with nobody in your corner is even worse. To understand exactly how bad it has been for kids in this town specifically, you have to go back to a single Easter morning, 6 decades before you were even born, that Derry has spent its entire history trying to bury, pretending that it didn't happen. Ironworks in town held an Easter egg hunt for the children of Derry. The building exploded. 102 people died that day, and 88 of them were kids. It got filed away as an industrial accident, some type of furnace explosion. No follow-up, no reckoning, no pattern acknowledged. However, every tragedy in this town history follows the same shape. The Bradley gang shooting, the axe murderer, so on and so forth. Something horrific happens and the town's memory absorbs it as bad luck rather than naming it for what it is, a feeding. None of that stays buried in the past either. It comes back around. It's about to come back around for you and for the 4 kids you spent your whole life sitting next to in class. It's summer, whatever year you want to put this in, when you were 12 years old. You got 4 best friends, the kind of friend group that existed since the 2nd grade. Right now, none of you have no idea what this summer is actually going to cost and what it's going to turn into. You all see it first in June, get it? Not all at once, not in the same place, but within 2 weeks of each other. Every single one of you has a run-in with a clown near a storm drain, in your house, in the street, wherever, off the house of Neibolt Street, and every single one of you decides not to tell the others. That's the part that's gonna eat at you later. You all saw it. You all felt that same specific wrongness, that something was off, that this wasn't a clown, but something deeper. And you all sat on it separately, assuming you were the only ones crazy enough to see a clown offering you a balloon out of a sewer gate, because admitting it out loud felt scarier than the clown itself. And all around you, all of your classmates, all of your schoolmates, your neighbors, their kids, they all continue to go missing. The silence doesn't last. It breaks the exact way silence breaks away in a town like Derry. A kid 2 grades below you, a boy named Christopher, who you barely know but recognize from the bus, doesn't come home from riding his bike home. His bike is found leaned up against a tree on Kansas Street like he just stepped away from it. And we all know he hadn't stepped away from anything. And that's when your friend group finally admits to one another, one at a time, over a game of cards in somebody's garage or Dungeons and Dragons, that you've all seen the same clown. Nobody says the word monster yet. Nobody's ready for that word, but you all agree on one thing without needing to say it out loud. Whatever Christopher ran into, you all met it first, and you were almost the first victim. So you do whatever a 12-year-old in this situation likes to do. You decide that you're going to solve it yourselves, because the adults aren't going to do anything. You've tried that, so you have no choice but to take the matter into your own hands. That decision is the one you'll take back more than anything else if you ever get the chance. You start a file, an actual manila folder kept hidden in the back of a closet with newspaper clippings about kids who's gone missing in Derry, going back decades further than any of you expected. You map locations. You notice the storm drains keep showing up that all lead to the sewers. You notice a pattern of roughly every 27 years pulled from library information none of you were supposed to have access to. And you convince yourselves that knowing the pattern means you have some kind of control over it. You don't. Investigating it doesn't protect you. It just tells it exactly who's paying attention. A few weeks pass and the file starts to feel less like a mystery and more like a shield, something you can hold on to, something that can protect you. You feel confident that you could probably beat this thing. You're wrong about that too. And the first sign of exactly how wrong you are is about to walk into the ironworks ruins alone at dusk. One of your 4 friends, probably the one that's the least skeptical of everything, despite seeing the clown, decides that he wants to go to the old ironworks ruins alone on the edge of town. The same ruins from the Easter explosion decades earlier. He wants to prove that this thing isn't real and that it's all just a figment of his imagination, that we're all just scared for no reason. So he decides to go at dusk without telling anyone. He goes missing. 3 days later, his body is found, except it's not his full body. Half of his body is missing, completely torn apart, like a wild animal had just eaten half of him and left the other half for discovery. And the coroner's report noticed bite marks that don't match any animal native to Maine. The official report calls it an accidental fall, even though his body is torn apart, but you know better. You know exactly what's been living in those ruins since before the ironworks ever exploded the first time. One of your other friends is next, and his disappearance is the one that will never fully make sense to you, because he's the careful one. He doesn't take risk. He goes down to the canal behind the old Texas textile mill to check something in the case file in broad daylight with a plan to be back before dinner, except he never makes it home. His body turns up at the base of the canal 2 days later, and the coroner's report noticed bite marks that don't match any animal native to Maine, filed under unexplained and never followed up on. You'll stand at that same canal weeks later, unable to make yourself look directly at the water because some part of you is convinced it's still down there, watching you decide whether to look. Meanwhile, this isn't happening in a vacuum, isolated to just the 5 of you. If you want the actual scale of what's happening to kids in this town during that same summer, it's worse than you actually picture. Derry's rate of children disappearances runs at roughly 6 times the national average. In other American towns, that number gets a task force, a state investigation, a government investigation, a national news cycle. In Derry, it gets filed as runaways, as accidents, as unfortunate. Reopening those cases would mean admitting there's a pattern, and admitting that there's a pattern would mean admitting that the town has been complicit in for 300 years, so nobody reopens them. It's the system working exactly as it was built to, and is exactly why nobody outside of your friend group can never connect what's actually going on in this town. By the time it takes the 3rd of you, who's the only girl in the group, is the one who found the pattern of the 27-year cycles in the library records, the one piece of research the rest of you lean on the most. She goes to the old house on Neibolt Street, the one every kid in town already avoids without being able to say exactly why, because she wants to check a name against a paper clipping from the 1960s. She also goes missing, and her body is found in the crawl space beneath that house a week later, and the coroner's report noticed bite marks that don't match any animal native to Maine. And here is the bad reality that you don't have plot armor. So yes, while you might be able to realize what's going on, you discover it's a killer clown, yada yada yada, whatever, what are you gonna do about it? Because in real life, in the reality of being a civilian in Derry during a Pennywise onslaught as a 12-year-old, you're gonna watch your friends get picked off one by one, and there's nothing you can do about it. And here's the messed up thing about fighting this clown that you see. It's not actually a clown. It's actually something scary is something that's incomprehensible to the human mind. It is a thing that exists in another parallel universe and uses this form as a clown in order to feed itself. However, at 12 years old, you're not going to know that. You think that you're just fighting a clown, probably some type of predator, except this predator has powers and it's horrifying and it can kill you in any moment that it chooses to. And the dark reality of being civilian in this world is that you were just brought into this town or into this world to be livestock, food for this thing to feast on. And the worst part is that this is just rumors, don't know if this is true, but if you die, you actually don't even go to any afterlife. You will exist inside of the thing that consumes you. You are damned to this town for the rest of eternity. And at 12 years old, you don't realize that because your mind doesn't comprehend that. I don't even think an adult's mind could comprehend that you're just brought into this town, that you were born into this town to be food for this creature, for this thing that has existed long before humanity ever even existed. So that leaves just 2 of you. You and the other friend are the last 2 standing, who've been the one holding the group together after your other 3 friends had died. You think the 2 of you left standing would finally be the one smart enough to survive whatever's left this summer, except luck has other plans. And it has nothing to do with either of you being careful. Your friend wants to end it. He's convinced himself the way 12-year-olds convince themselves of things when they're desperate and grieving. If the 2 of you go straight to the sewers where this whole summer started, you can face it directly and somehow finish what the file has started. You tell him you'll meet him there the next morning. You don't sleep at night. And by the time you get to the entrance of the sewers, your friend is already gone. 3 days later, his body's recovered from the reservoir near the old standpipe. And the department that pulls him out quietly notes in a report that never makes it to any newspaper that there's no possible current strong enough to have carried him there from where he had last been seen. You were supposed to be with him. You weren't. All of your friends are dead. So now it's just you. 5 12-year-olds saw the same clown. 5 of you ran the same investigation. 5 of you made more or less the same mistakes. And somehow only 1 of you is still standing in the backyard alive with a manila folder nobody else left to finish. And the only question that you ask yourself is, when is it gonna come after me? The honest answer, the one that takes you years to accept, has nothing to do with anything you did differently. Not your instincts, not a smart decision at the right moment. Your skeptical friend went alone and it took him anyway. Your careful friend was also taken anyway. Your smartest friend, the one who discovered the 27-year cycle, also took her. Your brave friend, the one who wanted to take things head on, it took him too. Nothing you did outperformed any of that. In the same arbitrary way a predator sometimes leaves one animal in a herd untouched for no reason a biologist can never fully explain. Surviving a thing that picks its victims for no reason you can control isn't a skill. And that's a harder truth to sit with than if you actually had done something right. It means none of your choices actually mattered. It was never testing you. It was just choosing, and it happened to choose everyone except you. You are absolutely cooked in this world. At 12 years old, you are dead. There's no way you're surviving this. If that thing decides that you're its next victim, it will stop at nothing to kill you. And the mess part is that this thing plays with its food. It will toy with you. It will torment you. It will mess with your mind and your parents' mind too, until it finally decides to put you out of your misery and eats you. And here's the part that never gets easier no matter how many years pass. That part you'll never say out loud to anyone who wasn't there that summer. Surviving doesn't feel like winning. It feels like being left behind on purpose by something that wanted you to carry this. Every birthday your friends never get to have, every year that passes where you'll get older and they stay exactly 12 forever, is a reminder of the trauma that you faced fighting this thing. You were simply spared. You got lucky the same way that you'd be spared, and got lucky from a car accident that killed everyone else in the vehicle except you. Pure chance were in the shape of mercy. The chaos calms down. Life in Derry resumes in its normal rhythm. The town moves on the way it always does. New missing posters eventually stop being put up because there aren't new cases, and you're the only person left who remembers that summer wasn't a coincidence. You remember it was a feeding, and you happen to be the one piece it left on the plate. But here's what nobody who survives their childhood in Derry understands until it's too late. It doesn't forget whom it let go. 27 years isn't an ending, it's a countdown. And getting to grow up, build a family, and you slowly forgetting what happened because now things become invisible to you because now you are the same adults who didn't believe you when something was going wrong, it will be back. Pennywise the Dancing Clown will return, and most likely it will come for your children. This is just part one of the reality of living in Derry during a Pennywise onslaught as a kid. The next part will be from the perspective of the adults, and I can't wait for you guys to see that. Real quick, guys, if you're into analog horror and want to go deeper than what we just did here on YouTube, join the Discord. We're building a community to talk about analog horror or horror in general, share theories, recommend series, debate which monsters we'd actually survive, and just a place where we can all hang out in between uploads. And as this channel grows, I want you guys to be a part of what we build next. The link is in the description. Come join us, and I'll see you guys over there. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, and I'll see you guys next time.